Speaking of terrific, joining me now is Sandra Smith, co-anchor of America Reports, and I got to say, almost equally terrific. Charlie Hurt, Washington Times.
But less terrific.
Opinion editor and Fox News contributor. Nobody can be as terrific as Sandra Smith.
Thank you.
It's, Charlie, you're very close to it.
Good to see you, Charlie.
I'm way down the ladder. Sandra, since you're so terrific and you happen to be right here on set, by the way, it's good to see you again. Give me your quick take on this. You heard my riff. You heard what Peter Doocy said. What do you say?
Major win. I agree. Sean Hannity. Why? They won the second they got on the stage. Just having this debate, having this conversation for the country was really, really important. Two of the highest profile governors in the country right now. Really substantive debate, conversation that was on that stage. I agree with you. There was, when you put the facts up, there's no comparison, okay? When you look at what Florida is looking at as far as gas prices, remind people, California gas prices are almost $5 a gallon. I mean, that's down from where they've been. Florida's paying $3.16 a gallon. These are just facts. The number of people who left the state of California from 2021 to 2022, 750,000 people. Apparently, what was it? The father-in-law of Gavin Newsom among them?
Wait, hang on. I have that. I got that clip. I think we have that clip. Sandra, bring it up. She's better than I am. She brings up the best stuff right off the top. We have it right here. Here's some sound. Here's a family issue with Gavin Newsom. Hang on for this sound last night.
So I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he was really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law.
Oh, Gavin Newsom did not see. I don't know, but it didn't look like he saw that coming.
By the way, pretty good timing in the telling by
I agree.
I mean, Charlie Hurt, if you're gonna have a hammerhead joke like that, you got to have exactly the right timing. It's something I learned on the Greg Gutfeld show these last several years. He's the best at it in the business, Gutfeld. But I'm just saying that was pretty well delivered, Charlie. And I think Sandra's right. I don't think Newsom saw that coming, did he?
No.
Charlie, what's your take on this? Let's get you in the mix as fast as possible.
So, no, I agree with you. I think that the debate was, Sean asked all the right questions. But, the problem for Gavin Newsom, and we saw it again and again, he kept going after sort of personal attacks on Ron DeSantis as relates to the Republican primary. The reason he kept doing that, and he had some kind of nasty lines about that, but the reason he kept doing that is because his record is so indefensible. He can't talk about these things. And when Sean Hannity properly put up the, stone cold facts from the U.S. Census Bureau about the out and in migration for Florida and California, all Gavin Newsom could do was lie about it. And he made up a bunch of stuff about how, California sees all this influx of people. It was a complete lie. And the same thing, as Sandra just noted, the same thing about taxes. He was talking about how the tax rates in California are more beneficial to working class people. There is no tax that is more regressive than a gasoline tax or an income tax. Nothing is more damaging to people who work than an income tax. And his only solution to those things was to lie about it. And obviously, it's really difficult to debate somebody who's making things up and lying. But it's why we have elections, because I think any voter, especially an independent voter who watched the two sides debate, would walk away saying, I like Ron DeSantis' vision, and I believe him. Gavin Newsom is a con artist, and I don't like his vision. He is bad for America.
Let's put up, I think we have some a tax full screen, or else I'm just going to have to read the thing. But, all right, it's up there. Actually, it could be readable. But I'm just going to say, California's got a 6% tax rate, basically for lower middle income people, okay, roughly $40,000. You're paying 6%. In Florida, you pay 0. California's got an 8% tax rate. If you're making about $60,000 a year, that's close to the national median income. California's got 0. And finally, even 60, let's see, call it $150,000 to $200,000. California's got a 9% tax rate, 9.3.
Translation, per capita
Florida,
taxes paid almost twice in California.
Florida's 0.
Yeah.
And the top rate for successful entrepreneurs, right, who are moving to Miami, who are moving to Palm Beach, who are moving all over Florida from New York and California, they're at 13. Florida's at 0.
A couple of things.
So how do you get around?
You can't. Well, and he didn't.
You can't be swarmy to get around it because, you know, who do you believe? I mean, it's right there. Those are facts.
I think that's probably my only thought as I was watching this last night was, it's been observed by many, not just me. You know, Ron DeSantis could work a little bit on the, personal skills.
Yes,
I think we all kind of feel that. We want to connect with them. We want him to be the guy we want to sit down and have a coffee in the morning with, a beer at 5 o'clock with. You're not getting
Don't hold your breath.
But doesn't mean you can't be a great leader. You can't let that affect.
This has to be done.
The resting face could.
This is on a DeSantis-adjusted basis.
But I said, where was the picture of the French Laundry moment? I mean, just have it ready, DeSantis. I mean, when you look back at those deepest, darkest days of COVID, and the lockdowns that were happening in California, and then that picture of Newsom sitting there at French Laundry at the fancy dinner table, no mask, out with other people. Yep. That was a brutal moment. But I will say this, maybe Charlie agrees with this, but perhaps the line of the night was one of the closing remarks, and this was Newsom. He said, there's one thing in closing that we both have in common. Neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024. And the look on DeSantis' face. But I mean, that was truth.
Yes, it was truth, but it was swarmy. I mean, it had nothing to do with red states versus blue states.
I shouldn't say that was truth. It might not be.
Hold on, Charlie. We got Ron DeSantis delivered some great one-liners. Here's some sound coming up. The 4 freedoms, I'm calling this.
California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open-air drug market and use drugs. You have the freedom, if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits.
All right, Charlie Hurt, you got to say, that was pretty good. And now he had that ready. It was in his hip pocket. He put it out there. But that was pretty good. And Newsom couldn't really deal with it. He didn't have a clever response.
Yeah. Well, again, the reason Gavin Newsom kept attacking DeSantis on the Republican primary is because he couldn't answer any of the policy questions that he was being asked about. Ron DeSantis is always prepared, and I agree with Sandra that the problem with him, he's a nerd. He's not a politician. He's a nerd, and he's completely incapable of connecting with people, which, whether you like it or not, that's a really important thing in politics these days. But the whole time, you really have the sense that Ron DeSantis is a guy, you want Ron DeSantis on the issues fighting for your side. It's why he has a marvelous record in Florida. And you know what I kept thinking? My goodness, what a great vice president Ron DeSantis would make. But unfortunately, that's not what he's running for right now.
No, but you never know, because politicians say no, 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 right before they say yes. You never know. Although, now that we're talking about that, which has nothing to do with today's show and nothing to do with the debate last night, now that you mentioned it, Charlie, I want to throw Mike Pompeo's name into the vice presidential mix, because he's a brilliant guy, and he's very loyal to Donald Trump, which amounts for something in that game. Sandra, the bottom line here, I want to come back to red versus blue.
Sure.
States that tax less, regulate less, will grow more. I think that states that spend less will grow more and will attract. What
is the deficit? I pulled this up for you. The state budget, California, they are running a $31.5 billion deficit.
Right.
Ron DeSantis should have held up the $17.7 billion surplus.
Yes. I mean, it's really...
They're running in that state.
It's like we had the thing in New York versus Florida. Florida has more people, than New York, passed them years ago. And Florida's budget is half the size of New York's.
It works.
And you see it again with California. Charlie Hurt, political
terrific.
editor of the Washington Times. Did I lose him? No, there he is, still there. Charlie's
Going
not
back
going
to
to
your
leave,
notes.
leave me. Charlie Hurt, any impact on the Republican nomination, in your opinion, from last night's performance of DeSantis, which was better than the normal DeSantis performance?
I do think it was better, largely because he was going after a lunatic Democrat from a lunatic state. And, DeSantis always looks good when he's doing that. But no, I don't. I agree with you completely. It's not going to make any real difference. And if it does help him a little bit in the polls, it's going to help him against Nikki Haley, which doesn't really help him at all.
And
it doesn't change the large, outlines of the race.
It helps the voters, no matter whether or not this moves the needle or changes anything. I think people saw really important conversations and a really important debate on that stage last night.
And not to interrupt, but we owe Sean Hannity a debt of thanks because I was skeptical about this, and I think it was true.
Wait a second, you were.
I was. When Sean and I were sitting in his trailer when we were doing the debate in the Reagan Library.
Right.
All right. The FBN debate in the Reagan Library. And he said to me, "What do you think?" And I said, "I'm not crazy about the idea, but I think it turned out, 100 times better."
Good.
And Sean handled himself.
Yeah, it was great.
Really was. Now, Sandra, my last question.
Oh, okay.
You're very, very smart.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I learn most from you.
Seasoned professional. Why are you and I living in red states? No. Why are we living in blue states? Why are we not living in it? What is wrong with us?
Well, you know what? We need our jobs, and our job is here.
I guess so. They have electronics and Zoom and stuff.
Charlie's figured this out.
No, Virginia's.
Except that the Democrats have stolen Virginia, but I live in the red part of Virginia, with the normal part of Virginia, where we're still free.
Nice try, Charlie Hurt. Very good. You guys are terrific. Charlie Hurt, Sandra Smith. By the way, be sure to catch Sandra along with her co-anchor John Roberts on America Reports weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox News every single day.